Good evening. Hope you guys are doing well as always. Bear with me. We'll get everybody on. Guess the algorithm has to do its thing also. But hope you guys are good. Hopefully, it is the beginning of your long weekend. If not, you may still have one day before your long weekend. And depending on what kind of job you have, you may not even have one day off with this holiday weekend that's coming. So, definitely going to get into some, I would say, the important topics tonight that are designed to help one kind of give you some understanding of where you may be today. And if you're looking to move abroad, what happens on the other side, and some things that you don't have the ability to go about taken care of or having the peace or freedom to do in the US versus some of these things that you can, I would say, see if you happen to go about moving abroad. So if you are seeing this, depends on where you are. What I need for you to do is share this with someone that is actually considering moving. Not only we discuss general topics that are designed to frame your move abroad, but what we also do is provide you the resources. It's one thing just stirring up general conversation, saying what we know and what we may understand in the United States that you may be going through um, is bad. But what do you do with that? So we provide additional resources to make certain that we don't just leave you in a place where you have no idea where to go next. So these conversations are both resource based as well as general understanding of what you may be going through. Now, tonight's topic talks about not being able to get ahead in America. Now, that generates and generalizes around a particular recurring theme of the American rat race and what moving abroad may offer to leave the American rat race, because so many of us are in a scenario where maybe you feel stuck. Now, not saying that you don't have income coming in, but maybe you feel stuck, as in you just can't get ahead from where you are. Every time you seem to even and settle everything out, here comes another bill, or something that was seemingly fine. Now the car breaks down, or something comes up where it needs your attention. And in this situation, your attention is equal to money. How many times you guys running into that particular scenario? I know one of the other things that is starting, well, it's not starting, it's been plaguing Americans and it's been a topic of conversation, is student loans. Student loans. We saw the Biden administration talk about getting rid of student loans for everybody, and a number of people did get their student loans cleared. However, so many people did not during that administration. And also, what we saw within this year was things change. Different repayment programs change, different options change. People getting notices that they may need to start paying more loan than what they were originally paying during this time frame where there were some easements of things. Well, what do you do with a situation where you are forced to pay more bills? Never mind just the basic things going up like rent and, if your car breaks down, you need to buy a new car. Buying a new car in this day and age in America, the interest rates aren't good. If your credit isn't good, that's another hurdle that you have to go over. But the student loan thing is one of the most typed in Google search things. And, repayment options is Trump going to do anything regarding the student loans? And from what I see and the experts that I happen to take a look at, shout out to Sonia, the student loan doctor. I'm like, she's on there every day talking about how things are changing, what these different payment programs look like, and or these things no longer being available. So many people are at the same time considering moving abroad are faced with new financial burdens with student loans coming back. And something that they're saying is, well, what if they start garnishing wages? Well, if you continue making exactly what you make today, and they say, hey, here's an extra $1,000 that you need to pay out, do you have an extra $1,000 to squeeze? What if they just took it from you? Then where would you be? So many people are considering moving abroad from a financial perspective because of student loans. There's other people that are actually looking from a retirement age. Now, I'm running into people where retirement looks a little different abroad. Yes, you still have the traditional 60 plus year old, 65-year-old retiree now taking their pension and seeing what that does. But then what I'm running into is a lot of military vets. So if you're a military veteran and you've got your pension, 3 to 4, $5,000 a month, it will afford you certain life in the United States. Now, maybe you have other income, but maybe you don't. What I'm seeing is a lot of military veterans go to different places abroad. One place in particular, I mean, is where I was at, Medellin, Colombia. Uniquely enough, I believe they have a VA there. So one of my friends, his name is Damien. He's a military vet out there, and he is able to. I've put him in contact with people that are coming on our relocation tours that are vets, and he's been able to navigate them through certain things with getting their medical benefits. It's you would be surprised where you guys are. So for you retirement people or you military people, that $2,000 a month, that $4,000 a month, whatever it is, that's your number that they're willing to give you as being retired. Consider what life that leads you in the United States. Consider how much more you would have to work or what kind of life you would have to live if that was your only income versus other places abroad. They have better healthcare opportunities, different medical options that aren't available in the United States that you could take advantage of or have a part of your healthcare routine. I can't get into all the in betweens because you are an isolated person and we have to stay high level for everybody. But these are realistic things that I'm running into where, as people are retiring, they're realizing that whatever that dollar amount is, even if you get a lump sum, well, if you consider the next 30 years that you live and you divide what you have in lump sum divided by 30 years, that's what you would have to use to live off per year. I'm getting calls and messages from people that are saying, property taxes are putting me in a scenario where I may lose my house. I may not be able to afford to stay where I live because things are going up and I only get this. I only get this monthly. This is not changing. And it is actually, if it does increase, it is not increasing at the rate that everything else is increasing. So, how many of you guys are in that scenario? But what do you do? Now, there are a number of other things that are possibly plaguing Americans depending on what scenario that you happen to run in. You also have to factor in that if you are getting any government benefits, how that has shifted. Maybe you are disabled and these things are now shifting to where your life is going to change. These things are starting to be more of a reality to people as they go to the grocery store and see the bill for less things getting higher and higher. Even the things that they're buying. Go to the grocery store and look at the size of the package. Imagine paying more. Well, don't imagine it, it's reality. Paying more for less product. It's a fancy new box, but it's less product and it costs more money than what you have traditionally been paying. Then you factor that into the gas bill. Well, you have to go to the gas pump, put gas in your car. Depends on where you are. I don't know why, because I don't have a car, but I keep getting these ads. I know I was in South Florida, but I don't have a car anymore. Literally, it was like South Floridians are paying 40% more than the average American. And it's like, probably all of these things that you need just to bare necessity yourself. You got to keep earning more. And it's just like, well, I got to get more work. I have to go to a second income. But what if you didn't have to do that? Moving abroad may put you in a position where you could make the exact same amount of income, and there you could have a better quality of life with that exact same income. However, many times you could take that income that you're barely making it on the United States and move abroad and substantially cut down how much you're spending on a yearly basis to have the exact same and honestly a better quality of life. What about some of these things where you take that money and you say, okay, well, I'm spending 5,000 a month every month to keep everything together. Well, let's say it goes down to $2,500 a month. Well, you just got a bill for $1,000 a month that you need to pay for student loans to make sure that they're not garnishing your wages. Well, in America, where was that $1,000 going to go without you getting a new job, spending even more time away from your family? Whereas abroad, cutting your expenses down, still having, maintaining, if not increasing your quality of life, freeing up $2,000 to $3,000 a month. As long as you can make online money, US dollars or euro, these things are important. We talk about this. But think, now that bill isn't such a huge situation because you're not paying $3,000, $4,000 in just rent or $2,000 in just rent for a 1 or 2 bedroom. I don't know where you live, but I know some of these places in the Northeast are getting outrageous. New York has always been high, but some of the places I'm starting to see for 1 or 2 bedrooms, or from where I'm from in Philadelphia, I'm like, and where? Really? That many Jeffrey dollars for that? Hmm. And you are probably seeing the same things. Things that you used to want to do or you're able to do. Go out for a meal once a week. Probably not anymore. The grocery bill was starting to get way more expensive. The gas to and from the places that you want to go to, never mind work, is getting more expensive. What are you going to do to combat that? You can't just be like, oh, how America says, work harder. Where's that got me? And then faced with new bills, never mind so many people that are in my age range, because our parents came from a time frame where they were taught, go to college, you get a job, and then from your job there, you go about getting, you're going to stay there for 20, 30 years, 40 years, and then you retire. Stay at one job, and there it is. However, so many of us, different options for jobs, different options for careers. Never mind, job hopping has actually been a way to increase your salary in ways that staying loyal to a company has not been able to. So different people have retirement plans, and I hear that so many Americans don't. Well, how can you have a retirement plan when every check you're left with $150 to hope and pray that something doesn't go bad in between now and your next check? You got everything covered, or you're a little bit short every time, and you're trying to have to find new hustles and new ways. You're picking up Uber and DoorDash just to make ends meet, and maybe they're not all the way there. But what if that hustle can be put into more things that will actually provide you substance, and you look at it instead of, oh, I'm going to work hard my way out of poverty. I'm going to hard my way out of poorness, when everything keeps costing more. And no matter how good of a job I'm doing, they're not going to exponentially give me a raise, even at the same clip. Never mind, how do I build and save money for a future? Never mind, how do I pay these extra student loans that the government just put on my back? I tell people all the time, you can go at 18 years old. Back in 2005, when I went to school, even to the day, at 18 years old, walk into a bank fresh out of high school and say, I would like to take four 1 year, I would like to take one loan out every 4 years for 20 to $40,000, because back in 2005, that's what they were financing at rates that, looking at it, so many people have paid tens of thousands of dollars into their principals or into their overall bank, and they still owe over 20 plus years more than what they actually borrowed. That is not just me or individualized to even you. It's so many people. It's the elephant in the room. But what do you do to get from under that realistically? You've got to consider alternative ways. And the good thing is, sometimes alternatives, like, I'm not really down with the alternatives, but the alternatives are starting to shed light on what it is that you're already saying. It's just framing it in a different way. Understanding that, yes, people are going on TikTok, going on YouTube, going on Twitch, and showing you their best expat life. They're doing these things, eating amazing food, showing you how much things cost in relevance to how much things cost back at home. Yes, I can show you that in Colombia you can get oxtails for $1.88 a pound. Meanwhile, in the United States, it's over $18 to $20 a pound. These things are all relative, but the pillback of how do you apply that to the problems that you may be facing in the United States? Well, I can make money abroad, but if I stay here, if I leave, then I'll be giving up everything I know. That's a realistic problem that a lot of people have. But I asked them, can you even afford to stay? People were asking me, "You're leaving?" That's what they said when I was telling them I'm moving abroad. They were like, "You're leaving?" And I was like, "You're staying?" How do you stay? What more do you need to see? Never mind, that was 3 years ago. How many things I've seen in the last 3 years transpire? How many things I've seen since November of last year, all the way up to January 20th, all the way down to August 28th. These things are consistently shifting. The only thing I see is more people contacting me, more people being interviewed or going about a expat journey, looking for life abroad and seeing what it is that it offers. More and more ebooks are coming out about what to do in this place, and so many travel experts, and there's so many different opportunities for people. Now, I'm not saying you to go become a creative if that's what you're not, but I'm saying if you have the money, I ask you, if you have the way to make money abroad, I ask you, what is stopping you from bettering your life? Because you can only answer this for yourself, but is your life actually in a way where you can see the light at the end of the tunnel? You can see a way out of this. You can see sustainability across not only your plate, but the plates of your friends, your family. So many people are even isolated down to just me, and I get that, but what if we could all be in a better scenario? Think about walking outside and dealing with negative people, violence, negative energy, people that just seem like they always had a bad day. Well, consider where you are, consider your environment. No matter rural places or city places, you see a lot of this angst and anxiety within Americans' eyes. You see it all on the internet. You see so many people say the same things. I'm turning off the TV because I'm already overwhelmed. The TV is just going to give me more anxiety about how I feel. It doesn't, the TV says, this is all the bad things going on. And the weather, right after that. That's all they do. Whereas, yes, we point out the bad things. Yes, we point out where you are, but we also want to give you something that's like, hey, on the other side, you could actually be paying less money to have a better life, setting yourself up possibly for success in a future time when you don't maybe want to work anymore in a way where you aren't able to do so in the United States. What could that look like for you, your family, the people that come after you? I see these kids, and you saw what happened yesterday. I saw something, I think it was this morning. It was talking about these people that were raising their children not in pretty much not in school. They had like a bunch of kids, and they were like, all of our kids don't go to school. We teach them certain things, reading, writing, history, and then we give them a lot of time to do their thing as people. And now I'm not saying that that's going to be your way if you have children by any means. But what I'm saying is, we put our children in the United States in school for 8 hours, not because they need to be in school for 8 hours, but because that's how long you work. And then you realize that majority of the Americans that are coming out of the American school system, 52% of them can't read past the sixth grade reading level. That is more than the average amount of Americans. That's more than half. So the American school system and what it is that we are seriously considering, taking these student loans out for, staying in America because we need to have student loans. I mean, we need to be in America's school system. I beg to ask you. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't have kids, and I know some of you guys are like, "Well, you don't have kids, so you don't know what we have to think about." I'm an adult. Common sense is common sense. I know people that have children that don't have common sense when it comes to children. I know people that have children that aren't good with children. I am good with children. So common sense works. And these things are real conversations if you have children that you need to think about. Because abroad, you're not seeing majority of kids come out of school. In places you consider a third world country, these kids aren't coming out of school not being able to read. Yet that is a common occurrence in the United States. How? paying a premium for terrible healthcare, terrible quality. You got to pay back your student loans. They're going to start taking money out of your account, and they're not going to give you any more money. It wasn't $100,000 a year job, but back when you just for going to college. Now, most people will say, the older people will say, well, it wasn't $100,000 a year job when I came out of college. No, no, I wouldn't say that. But I will say this. We're spending power. People get caught up with the dollar amount and not understanding spending power. Spending power is if you live in Wyoming and you make 180,000 dollars a month, I mean a year, and every month you have $500 left over to do emergencies, whatever the case is. You have $500. Pretty straightforward, right? Well, if you are living in LA and you have a $300,000 a year job, but you have $450 or the equivalent of that at in places like LA, you have the same spending power. So when the older people were saying, "Oh well, nobody was getting $100,000 a year," but yeah, my mom told me that she was able to work as a, what do you call it, a waitress in college and pay her way through school. Now, back in my day, when I was in school in summer, I used to work as a bank teller from 8 to 5, and then that was in North Philly. Drive all the way to the county in Willow Grove and work 7 to 11 at a retail store, Monday through Friday, and then on the retail store sometimes Saturdays or Sundays. I think I got a car at the end of the summer. I wasn't able to finance my education through college. Yet now we're sitting here strapped with student loans, strapped with some people I know they're paying $1,000 plus per month or getting uh, um, letters in the mail saying that you need to start paying $1,000 plus. And we don't own any genies. Where is this money coming from? Never mind that want to build wealth, well, to build a retirement so that whenever it is that you do get to retirement age, that you don't have to be the old man at the Walmart saying, "Hey, welcome to Walmart," or "How do you want that, paper or plastic?" or "Let me get your cart for you." Like, go to the Walmarts. Go and see these old people. When you see old people there, for me, when I go to America and I see old people working, I'm like, this is outrageous. Who wants to be 80 plus years old, 70 plus years old working? Unless it's what you want to do. But in a scenario where you look like you don't want to be there, but you need the money, that's where so many of us are on the path to it by staying in the United States. They're just going to continue to raise everything. So many people said, "Oh, the tariffs, that's going to be good. Everything's going to be made in America," not realizing that maybe it happens, but initially all of those costs are going to you. And then they keep saying, "Oh, here's a new bill." At the same time, they're inundating you with a bunch of things. How many Labor Day sales are this weekend? You can't even afford possibly to keep the lights on at your house, but they're telling you to come on down to Tom's Ford dealership because we've got a new car to sell you. Go on down to the mall or come online and do some online shopping and shop our Labor Day sales. It's funny that America gives their people a day called Labor Day. I assume that is to celebrate the American workforce. Correct me if I'm wrong. If not, woe is me. But I consider that Americans assume that they're in the best place ever. And I tell you guys are so overworked. Even if you're having a good time, even if you got all the money that you want, the amount of energy that you're putting into chasing what can be bottle caps tomorrow, what can be Bitcoin, Ripple, or whatever else they decide that has value. We keep forgetting that we have to use our brains a little bit more strategically and understanding that yes, the move abroad process is going to be something that is going to be fun. It's going to be life changing. But from some bare necessities perspective, I don't know how many more of you guys can continue with the rent increases going up, the wage increases staying, wage increases not happening, and people continuously saying, "Well, where's your smile? Aren't you happy to be here?" How long is that going to continue on before you on the other end says, all right, let me take a look at this, because I know I got a bill that said I got to pay an extra $1,000, and I'm already, where is this $1,000 going to come from? I have to get an extra job. I'm working 40 hours a week. I get off. I leave my house at 6:30 in the morning. I get off at 5, but because of traffic, I'm not getting home till 6:30 at night. Depending on if you're in the Northeast, that means in the wintertime you don't see the sun unless you're at work. What's that doing? I remember when I was in Philadelphia, that was my last corporate job. I used to work at Comcast in the call center. And what I just told you was my life. I had to be to work at, I don't know, 8:30, something like that. But I was leaving before the sun was up. And then I was getting off of work about 5:30, and the sun was either down or going down, especially in the wintertime. I wouldn't see the sun unless I stepped out and got a break. So many of you guys are in a position where that is about to happen. I'm over here right now on Central Time, like I cannot wait till clock go back, because that 1 hour it be kicking my butt. It really does, because it's like I cannot get up. I'm not going to get up earlier than 5 o'clock. Like we're going to go to sleep at 6. But the being an hour behind, that is a consideration, because some of y'all looking at 4, 3, 5, 7, 12 hours behind or ahead. These are all facts and considerations. But I'm looking at these things and I'm like, you guys are going to need to put this on your plate realistically. How do you get navigate with the increases of how much everything costs and saying, I'm just going to stay here and tough it out? I remember my homie, he said, well, I won't be looking to leave unless they declare martial law. I said, well, one thing, I don't know if you're going to be able to leave if they declare nationwide. They listening, nationwide martial law. But two, the troops are on the ground now, brother. Are you still considering? Are y'all? Was that the thing where you say, oh, well, when the government gets involved and we start seeing troops on there, then I'll know it's going too far. Well, they're here and they're going to other places based off of what is being communicated. Is this life? Is this where you wanted to go? And you paying more money than everybody. Your quality of life is in shambles right now. But you got the opportunity to change that. You got the opportunity to take that. All right, you want to give me $1,000 extra? Watch this. Not only am I going to take this good job that I have, they let me go work remote, I'm leaving. That is what the straw that breaks the camel's back on so many people. They look up, they're like, man, my lease is about to be up. I can sell this car. I'm looking to sell this house, take that money, move abroad. These things are starting to be reality. You guys are starting to see this more in your inner circles. People are starting to go about leaving people that you know. Somebody that you know that knows another person said, hey, you need to take this guy out, or take a look at this video. What's going on in your group chats? These things are reality. So many of y'all are like, I don't turn the TV on and I don't turn the news on. And I mean, I get it. Because when you do, it's just like eggs are $12 a dozen. Remember that? Eggs being $12 a dozen. Even when it comes down to your kids, because I know that's a big factor with people that are looking to move abroad. And I tell people with education as well as quality of life. Now, don't get me wrong, because I know some people pause with wanting their kids to play sports. Now, it depends on where you go. Certain sports are available, and then other ones may be a little bit more of a dig to find. But you remember when you grew up and used to go outside and play and enjoy yourself, and used to be like safe outside to go and hang out with other kids? How many of your kids that you have are actually going outside and playing? I saw a couple kids when I was in the States, and they were talking to each other, and I overheard them, and they were like, you want to go play? You want to go play video games? It's like, yeah, let's go. And then they left each other. And then I realized it was because they're going to go play video games at their separate house online, even though they was just in person. They didn't even want to go to the friend's house, one or the other. They just wanted to go get online and talking to the headset. These kids are growing up. I saw a kid in the airport the other day. She was a girl. It was about 1 year old. Barely could hold her head up, but her arms were steady on the tablet. She was holding that joint. The tablet was steady. Your kids are growing up being electronically based. They're being raised with blue light in front of their eyeballs from the time they're a child. But for some reason, you're convinced that America's got the school system and the quality of life that is for your child. Yet I'll see so many of these kids that are living abroad or running and doing stuff outside, having fun, playing with other kids. I mean, like actually playing. I saw somebody with a piece of chalk and some doing hopscotch, Colombian hopscotch. I said, look at that. We didn't lose all the recipes. They just moved abroad. Even the mall. The mall is the funniest thing abroad because you look at it and it's just like you think that it's just going to be like a mall in the United States. Malls in the United States are like nobody really even goes to them anymore. Well, you remember the fanfare of the mall in the '90s. You had the arcade and maybe you even had like the Ferris, not the Ferris wheel. What's the thing that spins? Carousel. You had the carousel. The movie theater was there. You had different restaurants. I remember the Rainforest Cafe came into Franklin Mills. Man, that thing was it was the craziest thing ever. Used to go to the mall, even just to a window shop. Used to go there and hang out with your friends. Well, that's dead. These kids aren't going to the mall and hanging out at all. Well, in places that are abroad, people are living, I would say, the '90s lifestyle. Like you remember, yes, people have varying amounts of income, but once again, like you get to realize that staying in America means that your money is your value. Whereas going abroad, yes, there are six-story malls 10 minutes apart from each other in Medellin. They have beautiful stores, but nobody's in there shopping. There's the movie theater, the arcade, there's a big jungle gym for the kids. There is a flower installation in the middle, which is mega mall size. There is what Envigado Mall has a soccer field and a gym that you can work out over a beautiful view. These things make you feel like, hmm, is this what it feels like when somebody seemingly like cares about what you have access to, what you care about? It's not just about how much money you can spend, how much money they can make off of you. So many people in America feel like they're a piece in some big machine, and nobody cares about some little piece. It's just, does the machine work? And as long as the machine works, you're just a little piece, and that's easy to feel like that in America. Don't get me wrong, because you can go other places, and I'm not saying that you're going to have this spotlight on you by any means, but what I see there and out abroad is access to healthcare, people spending time with their families, people not being in a scenario where it's like, I'm going to choose work all day just so I can buy my family stuff and things, but I'm not going to be present. People's presence is a thing. That is the gift to be able to spend time. So many of you guys are running to go get the money, but the real root cause of wanting to have the money is the time and the ability to do what you want with it. Yet the race and the journey of what America is putting you on, it's not leading you guys anywhere. The success rate of the average American finding a job that is going to pay them and sustain them where they're not bill to bill, and then having enough money to retire at a comfortable age, then utilizing that money to now be able to travel the world because that is what they're selling you. How many of them are actually even doing that? Never mind not really being able to see anything until you're 65. Never mind not having the money to retire. Never mind spending all of these years piecing it together, trying to make ends meet. What if you didn't have to? This is a reality. I even tell people that are faced with well, my job won't let me move abroad. What do you do? What skills do you have? It's easy to say no. That is the easiest thing for most people to do. No, I can't. No, I won't. That is the easiest thing. Yet so many people don't realize that no matter where the journey is, these steps always start with the first one. Always. You can't take the longest journey or the shortest journey without the first step. Understanding that There are people that are willing to take time, energy, and put resources in front of you that will actually help guide you. No, I'm not a financial expert. I just know that you're not going to pay as much to live in the United States. Hey, you may not have a job that looks to move abroad, but when you look into what is it that you do, what are your marketable skills, I often tell people, and you may have heard this if you are new here, you might not, but if you have been, you might have heard me say this, but you may need that $100,000 a year job in the United States. You might, but you may can get by with the exact same quality of lifestyle at 45,000 or 50,000. Depends on where you go. Stop chasing a number and start thinking about a quality of life. Now I know it's very difficult to do that when you have to chase a number, when they keep increasing everything, the cost of everything. Here comes some more bills. Here comes a surprise bill. Here comes a new obligation. You're so depressed and everything else. People max out their credit cards because of the depression that capitalism is actually putting them in. I tell people all the time that American credit score doesn't exist out of the United States. That could be good or bad for you. You could say, oh, great. So they don't know that I have a 400. Or it could be bad from a perspective of, well, I've got 800, so I can't just go finance something. Like, no, you actually have the money. The thought process of, let me just go finance it is an American thought process. Most people have the money. And then you also don't realize that you have no credit anywhere else. Who's to say that you're going to come and stay and not leave? Nobody's going to be waiting at the airport for you. So you've got to realize that you've got to position yourself in a way to capitalize on what the world has to offer you. It doesn't seem like the things going on in America are lined up for that. Your kids are growing up not going outside like you used to, not having good times. They're growing up in front of the TV and in front of the tablet, and that is what you put them in front of since they could hold their little baby arms. So the education, I think it all comes down to what you're willing to do. You might be able to take some of that money that you're saving from not paying all that money in the United States and get your child into the best international schools that are in the destination that you are. We brought on Candace Russell. She talks about raising her kids abroad, moving to Colombia and what that looks like, navigating what kind of school system she wanted them to be a part of. Most of you guys are scared, more scared for your kids than your kids being scared to experience something like this. Well, they don't speak the language. Well, these kids are going to be a lot smarter because they actually will learn the language a lot faster than you probably will. Yes, your thick adult head is a lot harder to get in new information. Whereas a kid, 6, 7, 5, 4, 3, I've seen kids come and in 4 months they're talking in fluent Spanish and they're being able to navigate talking in fluent Spanish to a teacher or a nanny, and then realizing that their parents don't speak Spanish, so going back to English with them. And I'm like, this kid is 4 or 5 years old. Yes, your kids can go further than what it is that America, as well as maybe you even thought that they could. Sending them to places that you don't know if they're going to come home, is that a valuable plan and option for you? So many T's and P's get thrown around every time something happens, but what gets done? You're not taking my rights. That's what happens. And we're back right at the same thing until it happens again. You get consistently build and build and build, and then it's just like, well, where is the money coming from? Because I don't have any. I don't have any more. I'm working all of the hours that I possibly can. How many of you guys are running into that scenario and now moving abroad seems like realistic? It seems like realistic. And it possibly is. I tell you, the lifestyle and the quality of life goes better. Yes, you get access to better foods. Yes, you get access to health care that doesn't cost you as much. You will be surprised how much well, you won't be surprised about this. You know how much you pay monthly for insurance. And then when you go to the doctor, there's a copay for that. And then you got to go to the main doctor to get access to the specialist doctor because they've got to write you an appointment to go there, and then you've got to pay the copay to get to the specialist doctor. But because it's a specialist, that's even more money. And then if they give you happen to say medication or you need an X-ray, blood work, an MRI, these things just cost more money. But what about what I paid you already for the month? No, no, no. That just subsidizes this. This just really costs a lot. The things that I was able to get when I was abroad, access to from a healthcare perspective, an in-home doctor, an in-home doctor, those are things that I don't have the money. I'm not a rich person. I don't have the money to come and have somebody come to my house. I've got to go wait in the emergency room or urgent care or in the doctor's office and barely see the doctor after I've been there for an hour and a half. That wasn't my reality. Going to places and seeing the same strawberries because you go into Trader Joe's or Whole Foods and you see the fruit that's in there says that's from Colombia, it's from Costa Rica. And well, me being in Colombia, going to the farmers markets and the local markets and seeing the fruit that is marked up in the stores here for $1 for 2 pounds. What was I doing? How was I ever going to get ahead when I was getting nickel and dime down to the strawberry? Nickel and dime down to the organic vegetables. When did they start making vegetables that weren't vegetables? They just bioengineered some vegetables and said, this is excellent. They don't serve certain things abroad that they serve in America. There's so many things that are banned in America that they won't serve. So it comes down to your finances. It comes down to your health. It comes down to your legacy, your kids, how they grow up. How do they grow up with what PTSD do they have? Growing up with just fire drills when you were a kid, now they're doing mass incident drills. What do you want your legacy to be exposed to? What do you want them to be normalized with? Got all the kids eating processed foods and different things, and people are growing up with different ailments. What is it that you want your life to be like? I know America said this is what the best thing is, and this is what it's supposed to be. But realistically, asking yourself, can you afford to stay? When is going to be the time? You might say, I can afford to stay. I'm not leaving America. I get those comments. My people built this country. I'm not leaving America. Listen, what they said, the band was playing as the ship went down. That's what y'all sound like. The band was playing as the ship went down. If you want to ride on the canoe over the icy waters on Christmas Day with George Washington and the gang and say, I'm going until the ship goes down because my people were forced to build this country, so I'm not leaving. That is where you can stay. That is perfectly fine. I'm not going to be the one that's not. However, there is a huge amount of people that say, yes, my people built this country. But no, they didn't have me sitting here to be in turmoil. The best thing I told you, you got your weapons. The best thing that America has given you, one, the blue passport. You go in your room, reach into your drawer, pull it out. It should be glowing. Oh, you should feel like this is something that you can use to your advantage. As many things feel at your disadvantage right now. The second thing is if you can make US dollars, even if you aren't the most educated, the ability to make US dollars, you'd be surprised what $30,000 would get you and how far it can go. The digital nomad visa in Colombia, you have to prove it might be 1,100, but let's just call it $1,000 a month. You have to prove that you make on paper $1,000 a month. Now, if you made $1,000 or 1,050 dollars, you could qualify to stay up to 2 years in Colombia with the nomad visa. $1,000 a month. Now you take that same $1,000 that somebody is paying you or you are making, and you go back home in the United States. Well, you're going to go back to the United States. Who knows if you have a home? I sincerely doubt that. Maybe you're renting a room, but how much of that $1,000 you're making a month goes towards just the room rental? Do you see how things compare in comparison? That will let you know if you're looking into a place and you're like, well, I don't really know how far money's going to go. Go find out how much you need to show to get the digital nomad visa. And then times that by 12. Well, I only need to show $12,000 out I make a year. Well, clearly they're not going to allow you to come here and stay long term if that dollar amount doesn't allow you to afford a place, food, a life, right? Can you live on $1,000 a month in the United States? Even $3,000 a month in some major cities, because some places digital nomads say you need to do $3,000 a month. Okay, $3,000 a month. That's $36,000 a year. How much of a life can you live in the United States at $36,000 a year? Well, clearly it's going to give you X amount of things. I know in California you will still be on that. You might as well be at $1,000. You're going to be homeless at $36,000 a year. A studio apartment could cost 1,500. It's going to be $1,500 a month, if not more. So the pale in comparison of where you are and asking, can you afford to stay? It's a really realistic question. Imagine I see people and parents come out and they're like, yeah, my kids in karate and horseback riding. They do that twice a week. Cost me $250 for two kids or $300 a month for two kids. I'm like, $300 a month for two kids and two classes, and you're getting them on horses. I know horseback riding costs a lot of money in the United States. But $300 goes a lot further. How far can $300 get you in the United States? Never mind how far can it go. How many hours does your current wage? How many hours do you actually need to work to make $300 before you actually are able to spend it? And I mean 300 actual dollars. So that is after taxes. So you need probably closer to $450, $500 to get $300 even after taxes. Now do your minimum, your wage into the number of hours. That's how many hours you have to work. If it's over a full day, that means that you have to commit one full day just towards consuming or being able to spend $300. The math ain't mathing, and they keep adding more to the bill. What do you do? I hope you guys are understanding that these questions are designed to stir something up in you. It's designed to say, yeah, this don't make no sense. Yeah, maybe I need to look into something else, because if I'm 35 or 38 years old and I continue on this for the next 35 or 38 years, I'm going to be 70 or 73 and be like, where did the time go? Do I have the money to go sit down? Is there anywhere? Who knows what America looks like? So many people are like, well, I'll just leave America until Trump's gone and then I'll go back. And I'm like, you don't know what America's going to look like. And the way he's talking, he's like, I'm not leaving. I'm not leaving. So what do? Peace of mind costs more than any financial burden that you could possibly run into. You would be surprised. You could have all the money in the bank, but if you are going insane in your head with everything that is going on, you're getting depleted because people don't even care about you anymore as a human. You're just a call. Can I borrow some money? Or, some sort of transaction. That gets draining too when I ask you, can you afford to stay? The natural human urge is to want to be around people and be around community and not be in a transactional relationship. Yet America breeds a capitalism and a capitalistic society to the point where this is all you have. What can we get off each other? How much can I make? And then how much can I buy to show other people that I made it? Your life is not supposed to be like this. Your life should have some other things to it that make it worth living. Buying things from online and Amazon shouldn't be the highlight of your week, your month, your year. You go into your closet and say, man, look at all this stuff I got. Have your own little fashion show? No, it just goes into the continuous closet of this made me happy at one time and it's no longer making me happy. The guy that buys the electronics and all of that stuff. The allure of these things that America told you is going to give you the quality, it is starting to fade. It is starting to chip. You are starting to see that they sold you a dud. Now you're at a turning point saying, I don't know if I can afford to keep this going. But what do you do with that? What is on the other side? You got student loans getting faced there. You have the elephant in the room, quiet as kept, that you aren't going to be able to work as hard as you are for the rest of your life, and you might not have as much money as you need. It used to be $5 million. I think that stuff is like way past, and $5 million is possibly way further than most people could ever actually save up. Now that is continuously rising. What do you do? These things are important to consider. These things are important to write down. I tell you guys, you are overwhelmed. So to think that you are going to get a crystal clear plan envisioned in your head and then execute it in a way where it allows you to have success, you are lying to yourself. You are. It's time to realize that you've been lying to yourself. So what you need to do is get a book, get a college notebook, whatever the case is, but it needs to have a bunch of empty pages in it because you need to start being very serious about what it is that you're looking for. Maybe you found out tonight that one of the things that you were looking for was to be able to pay off my student loans, was to be able to build wealth in a way where I could retire and maybe leave something for my spouse and or my kids. Was it? Did you have it written down? But now it's been plugged out of your head and now it's woken up in your spirit and you're thinking, well, damn, I didn't realize that. Well, how many other things are up in that noggin of yours that you haven't realized yet? So many people say, well, damn, when you put it that way, it makes perfect sense. I just was either too overwhelmed to think about it or too, I was just too overwhelmed. I just didn't know where to start. So I just didn't start. I didn't know what to do. So I did nothing. I've heard that before. I tell people not doing anything when not knowing what to do, I don't think that's good. Because when you don't know what to do, there's an opportunity to educate yourself on a plan of attack. Yes, you do need to go about it strategically and intently and do diligently. However, sitting and doing nothing with your hands in your pockets, literally life will pass you by. The things that are available today may not be available. If you're going to wait for martial law to be declared nationwide, what if there's no longer any opportunity to go? I don't know what's going on or going to go on. I'm just giving you scenarios that you have to consider. And you might say, well, that's not going to happen. Well, how many things this year that you said that wasn't going to happen and have happened? Do you guys remember? I saw something today. Speaking, y'all remember when January 6th happened? And I remember sitting there watching the TV in shock, like, what is going on? These people are walking into the Capitol and like acting up. This guy has no shirt on and has a Viking hat on or whatever the heck that guy had on. I saw today that they are going to give the woman that was killed for being in the wrong place illegally a military honor funeral. That is what y'all president wants to do. This is what goes on in America. So for you guys to say, well, that's not going to happen, stay tuned. As the Republicans like to say, stay woke. I'm joking. But seriously, you need to take a look at what the heck is going on and really start asking yourself some questions. Start visualizing, start writing these things down. You'll see some things come out and you'll be like, this guy is crazy. No, like literally, you need to get a backpack full of, it's a proverbial backpack, but the backpack should have your relocation tips written on the outside. And inside should be all of these tidbits, these conversations, these things that I woke up in you and said, you need to ask yourself this. This is for you. It's not for me. This is for the people that aren't led but are wanting to move abroad. So many people are looking to move abroad and just jumping. No parachute, no resources, no backpack full of tips, tools, nothing. Thinking that they're just going to take America with them and that's all the value and understanding and education that they need. You are mistaken. So that notebook that you see, and I'm telling you that you need to have when you're writing these things down, when you're understanding and visualizing what you're leaving and what you are going, understanding that yes, you might want to build wealth and start planning for retirement. Well, how can you afford to take $400 $500 extra a paycheck when they just gave you the extra $1,000 a month bill? Or they just added $400 $500 to the gas or to the local things because of tariffs. what do? You still have to buy food. You still need to buy clothes when they get old. You might need to start shedding some habits of spending and splurging. But at this point, you're just Monday through Friday and then just trying to make it through Saturday and Sunday as happy as you can. But how many of us saying, why does the weekend just go so fast? Or what happens on the other side of a 3-day holiday? We should always have a 3-day holiday. That is that is what most people say. We should always have a 3-day holiday. And I get it. You're right. But these things aren't realistic. You can't outwork America. You can't work hard yourself out of these ruts. They just keep building the hole that you're in deeper. It may be time to look elsewhere. But the good thing is looking elsewhere doesn't mean that, oh, my quality of life is going to go down. Oh, I'm not going to have any of these amenities that I have in the United States. I tell people in Medellin, I have access to everything that I had in the United States. But even better, the doctor comes to my house. The bowling alley is not only way cheaper than bowling, but it is like an experience. Like, yeah, we got a bowling alley, but it's more than a bowling alley. There's fire breathers, there's DJ, it's got a huge bar. We go there and get steaks and sushi at us. Yes, at the bowling alley in Colombia. You go to the mall. It's just the mall. Why are they going to take me to the mall? Well, I didn't know that the mall looked like this. Yes, because your expectations are set on American and not realizing that the meter and the dial is broken. Your expectations on what your quality of life should be or is in America, it is wrong. It is broken. It's not even like a broken clock. It's not right one time a day, never mind 2 times a day. It's just consistently broken. The system in America is broken. What they say, America, we got a problem. No, Americans, you've got a problem. America is doing fine, but Americans aren't. They'll go on the news and tell you, oh, the stock market is doing great. Meanwhile, millions of Americans are homeless that have a full-time job. Somebody is able to pay them a wage that has them living in the car or in the shelter. This is the reality. Yet you're seeing places abroad saying, come, bring your $1,000 a month, $2,000 a month, and you will have a house to live in. You will have food. You just need to make money online. These are reality. This is facts. Maybe this is the conversation that made it all make sense. Maybe this is the conversation that woke you up and make you realize that I'm never getting out of this if I don't do something different. I'm never going to change my life. I don't want my children thinking that this is okay to live like this. I don't know where you are in your journey. I don't know what you're thinking in your thought process. My job is to spark your your energy, your thought process, giving you realization that yes, these are the things that I've realized that are on the other side. Can you save money by not spending $5,000 to $8,000 a month? Yes. What do you do? Could you have a personal trainer? Could you have a chef? Could you take boxing classes or yes. Could you start going on hikes now because you live in a place where there's beautiful mountains and rivers and streams and lakes like you ain't used to? Yes. But no, if you're not willing to leave. They don't have you don't have to give it up forever. But realistically, once you do leave and spend some time, you still got the opportunity to go back. But you probably won't want to. I know it feels comfortable. It feels safe. Thinking to move abroad, it feels scary. I get it. More and more happening more and more and more. Sister, friends and more of my family are saying, you saw the writing on the wall before it even happened. And I was like, yeah. Well, they sound feeling like, oh, I'm going to have to wait. like, you've been over there for 3 years and you're having a great time. Like, maybe this is real. Maybe this is something that I can do. Maybe I can see the changes in your life, how you talk, how you even look. Now, I'm not saying that I don't look 38, but I'm 38, but like, I got gray hairs on the side. But I'm like, I like to think that I would look different living in the United States. The light in my eye may look different. The tan that I have may look different. I know these things are reality. What if you don't have to live that life? It is up to you. It is up to you to do a lot of things. It's up to you to take this conversation and utilize your life. It is up to you and put it to use in a way where it actually makes sense. We bring you to experts, the immigration people. We bring you the people that can help you pay your student loans off, the people that will help you learn how to build wealth abroad. We bring all of these things to you, but what they say, you can lead the horse to water, but you cannot make him drink. My question to you guys, are you thirsty? Are you ready? The opportunity is on you. So many of us have already made the transition abroad to what life looks like outside of the United States. We now know that the life that America sold us wasn't what it is. So I, I put something hopefully in you tonight that helps wake that up, helps challenge you together. Gather the resources, gather the tips, put your backpack on. Make sure you're putting these tips. Tomorrow's Friday is going to be a long weekend. I will be excited to see y'all. I will be giving everybody the Monday off because y'all hopefully will got your friends. Maybe we'll be at a cookout or something. I will not, but I will not be back on Monday. We'll see you on Tuesday. I appreciate you guys always. Make sure you are going to YouTube, Black Expat Life Abroad. That is where you will find conversations like this housed, all of the videos, the conversations we have had. There are over 150 videos that are uploaded and way more to come. Move to O's. There you will find free healthcare. Will get in contact with you. There you will also find our virtual relocation conference. That is on demand. So over 6.5 hours worth of specific content to Colombia. If that expansion is here. So all of those people that are looking not only just in Colombia, but are looking for places in Mexico, get information in Panama or even in South Africa. We are bringing on some other locations. We are so excited. Shout out to all of our affiliates in those locations. We will have more information coming. But what you need to do is just make certain that you are here before you get your weekend started tomorrow. Come back in, tap in with your boy. Thank you guys once again. It has helped you. I appreciate you guys as always. Y'all take it easy, and I'll see y'all tomorrow.